Hi everybody, this is Lorraine Tierney with Chat and Craft with Lorraine, and I'm coming on live today to show you a couple of projects you can make with the Lights Aglow designer series paper. And there's a couple of special sheets in here that at first I was a little bit stumped on what to do with them. So I thought I would show you a couple of projects that I came up with. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live in Warner, New Hampshire, and today I'm coming to you live from Warner, which is a big deal because I'm mostly living with my daughter right now to help her out. But I'm back at home in New Hampshire today, so I thought I would try going live from here. So this is part of the designer series paper, the Lights Aglow paper. I've been using quite a bit of it, so you'll see a lot of it is cut up. But it has a lot of gold and sparkly accents. It's really, really pretty. It's just gorgeous. And the other side is very pretty also without the gold. And then there's 4 or 8, I don't know, there's a bunch of pieces in it that look like this. And they have, kind of would call them sentiment frames. And at first I thought, oh, how am I going to use those? But I came up with a couple of ideas and I'd like to show you. So this is a 6x6 paper, this whole pack. So I just cut these at 3 and then at 3, and you get 4 pieces that are really easy to work with. So the first thing I did was make a book fold card. I thought this would be a great size for the front of a book fold card, and that opens up like this. So that's the first thing we're going to make together. This works up pretty quickly. I didn't post the measurements yet, but I will post them all in the description of this video. I just didn't want to do it before I went on live. I wanted to seize the moment and get this done. So this is a card base that's 4 1/4 by 11. So I just held my paper the long way and cut it in half. And now we are going to score it at 4 inches. So that's my gray blade, and 5 1/2. And that's the standard spot you would score it at 5 1/2. Oh, I just realized, okay. Hopefully there's glue in this. I forgot to bring, yep, looks like it's working, adhesive over. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to use my bone folder to get a nice crisp fold. And you usually fold it with the bump in the middle. And that's what I did with the half fold. But the other fold is going to go the other way, so our book opens up. Okay, and we're going to put some cardstock layers and some of the DSP layers on here. So I have a piece of evening evergreen cardstock. It's just a 1/4 inch smaller, or maybe an 1/8. I don't know. I shouldn't say because I'm not looking. But I'm going to adhere those next with a little. There's a lot of glue coming out of that. I'm going to try to get a little off. Okay. I'm going to put these on first. And this looks like it would fit either way, but it will only fit one way. It's slightly taller than it is wide. Okay, and then the piece of designer series paper that I think is just 1/8 of an inch smaller. So I really debated which side of this paper to put it on, whether to go with the snowflakes, which are very, very pretty. I like those a lot. But I felt like this got a little bit lost on the snowflakes, so I'm going to use the darker side on this one, which is also very pretty. But sometimes I feel funny covering up that sparkle. A little bit. My glue is coming out very generously. Okay, and then before we do anything else, I want to put my ribbon on because I'm going to put the ribbon in here and then seal that shut so that it opens like this. And I don't want to forget to put my ribbon on. So I tend to not measure my ribbon. I'm going to just lay it flat, make sure it's nice and flat in there. Pull it out a bit and pull it out a bit more. And then I will tie it. And we'll see how I do. I feel like I never tie bows very well when it's on camera. My fingers get sticky and there's people watching. Not too bad, but I am sticky. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to trim this. And I'm going to try to slide that to the middle a little bit. Okay, and now I would like to use tear and tape. I do have some right here. Tear and tape to hold this closed because I want it to be strong. I don't want that coming apart. And that's going to hold that ribbon right in place for me. There you go. And I'm going to put a little glue dot underneath that bow there to also hold that in place. There we go. So that opens like that. I have a piece of Very Vanilla, and this is the same size that the Evening Evergreen was on the front. I'm going to put that inside. And then we have our little piece of gold sentiment frame. I really like that. And I have a square that I cut out with the Stylish Shapes dies. And so I used the third largest square on this one, and on the next project I used the third largest circle. And you can see if you were wondering which one to use, if you just lay it down on top there, you can see that that fits really well. Okay, and I'm going to make this a thank you card. And so where did I put? I'm going to use the thank you for everything that's from this Color and Contour stamp set with some Evening Evergreen ink. And just try to get this centered. Right there. There we go. And I think I will pop that up on some dimensionals. First, I'll just adhere it to the center, and I'll pop that whole piece up. Hi, Courtney. I am happy to be in my own space. I have a table that's the right height. It's great. And it's been really nice to spend some time with my husband. He is a good guy. Okay, I don't like saggy middles, so I tend to put a lot of dimensionals in there. I'll just pull these off so I can find them around my house at a later date. These little release papers. Okay, and now I'm gonna put this right in the center. If you don't have this pack of paper, I would say you definitely need it, especially because it doesn't have to be just Christmas. I think this makes a great thank you card. So that's one project using that piece, and stick around to the end because I have some other things to show you. And then I made this with another square one. Oh, I was going to use a round one on that project because I'm using a square one on this. Oh well. You can see on this one, the round one works just as nicely. Oh, I see what I did. I cut this one to use a round one. Okay, so this is a little Post-it note holder that you can make. And it's just perfect. It's just the right size. Courtney, your middle is not saggy. So I have a circle I cut out with the third largest thing. I have a piece of Very Vanilla, and this is 3 1/8 by 4 1/2. And I have a piece of Cherry Cobbler cardstock, and this is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. We have to do just a little bit of scoring on this. We're going to score this at 3 1/8 and 3 1/2. So 3 1/8 and 3 1/2. And this is the Very Vanilla. This is the thick, just so that it will be a little bit stronger for opening and closing on that. So I'm just gonna burnish these. And then this is going to get wrapped around. This is a Post-it notepad, a sticky notepad, and it's 3 by 3. And this is going to get wrapped right around that, centering it in there. It's just slightly bigger than the Post-it notes. Okay, so I get it all set in, and then I'm going to put some tear and tape right there, if I can find my tear and tape. I know I just had it. Oh, here it is. Again, I like that tear and tape. It's nice and nice and sturdy. So I'm putting some on the edge of the Very Vanilla and some on the edge of the Post-it notes. And I have to get that centered again. Let me take this off. I love doing little Post-it note holders and things like that for little gifts for neighbors, or maybe I'll bring some to the hospital my grandson is at for the nurses and doctors. Who doesn't need Post-it notes, right? Everybody needs some Post-it notes. So that goes on just like that. And now I'm going to use a little more tear and tape on this, and we're going to center this on the card base, or the base. It's not really a card, is it? Go this way and this way. This sucker's not coming off. Don't want that coming off. If you are watching, I'd love for you to say hello And if you're catching this on a replay, thank you. Let me know. Okay. There we go. Now, there's not going to be a lot of give or a lot of wiggle room in this. So I need to get this down just right. So I'm trying to get a good look at it. I have a nice border all the way around. And now I'm going to put this on also with a border. And then this will go in the middle. Let's do our stamping next. So I thought I didn't want to put just a Merry Christmas on this or a thank you on this, because I want this to be something people will use all year. So I thought this would be a nice sentiment. It's your time to be remembered, to feel appreciated, and to know you're celebrated. So it kind of reminds them all year. And that one is from the Inspired Thoughts stamp set. So this has some nice sympathy sayings, some thinking of you, a Christmas one. Just has some nice different sayings. I'm going to use Cherry Cobbler on this one again. And I'm going to try to get that nice and straight. There. Ah, well, I put the wrong sentiment on that. Well, that's interesting. I think I had another, yes, I have another circle right here. I'll have to save that for something else. Hi, Linda. I'm glad you like them. I hope you'll give them a try. So I am, this stamp, you can't see through, and the shape of the stamp is not really square. So I don't know if I'm lined up just by looking at this shape of the stamp. So I tend to get my block lined up nice and square. And now I'm going to make sure that one line of the sentiment is even with the dotted lines I see through my block. And I'm going to hope that that helps me get it square. And then I'll hold my block square and ignore the shape of the stamp that I'm looking at. I hope that makes sense. There you go. And that came out pretty straight. Hi, Jan. Yes, woohoo, from home. All right, so now I can put this on here. And center it right on that little sparkle. I love the way that just outlines that. And I'm not going to pop this one up because I don't want it to be too bulky and too much on somebody's desk or whatever. I don't want it to get loose with repeated use. So I'm just going to put this one on with some liquid glue because that will give me a little bit of an ability to adjust it. So there's the two Post-it note holders, one with square, one with circle, and the two cards. And then I'll show you a few other cards I made from this pack because I really think you'll love this. I did a card kit that had all these pieces ready for you to stamp and then assemble. So there's Cherry Cobbler. This one I mixed and matched a little bit on the Very Vanilla. I love this Very Vanilla ribbon. And there was Evening Evergreen, the soft Succulent with the snowflakes, and the Very Vanilla. And then you're left with these strips of paper when you cut your DSP. So I made a card that shows you how you can use those strips of paper right across like that. And then you can make these kinds of things and hopefully use up your whole pad of paper and feel like you really enjoyed it and got a lot of use out of it. So I hope you liked these projects. I'd love it if you would like this video, and if you'd like to share it, that'd be great too. Then more people can make these cards. And if you need anything to help you make cards at home, a catalog, some suggestions, please reach out to me. Please check out my blog at chatandcraftwithlorraine.com, and I'd love to help. Have a great Saturday. I hope it's sunny in your neck of the woods. Bye-bye.